You know it's time to do another tier list in a nice, neat, very agreeable, very agreeable, you will not disagree with anything, I promise, tier list. Where I will be talking about releases that have come out from about March-ish to May, because I've already done the first tier list earlier in the year where I ranked albums from January to about, again, March-ish. So another couple of months have passed by, quite a few releases have come through. So if you're thinking, where's this album, where's that album, well, click that video as well. Check that one out to see all those other albums, because I want to keep these consistent. I want to do this every couple of months because there's always a fresh new cycle of albums. And yeah, there's lots of albums worth talking about that have come out recently. So you know the drill. If you are feeling super generous and you like this channel and you like these types of videos and you want to see more of them in the future, keep this channel going. Perhaps consider supporting me over on Patreon or the membership page. But at the very least you can do is like the video, share it around, subscribe to the channel as well for more videos, and agree with me. Because you have to agree with me, okay? You're going to agree. You never agree with these dealers. Oh man, no. Starting with Two Hollies, who has started to gain quite a bit of traction recently. And yeah, I like what Two Hollies is doing. I think it's pretty cool. But for me personally, I'm a little bit surprised that people were quite raving about this album when we already have stuff like Glaive. And Glaive got absolutely shat on when he dropped his album from a couple of years ago. I thought it was great. I can see why people wouldn't like it, but I just don't get why people would like one that's very similar but not the other. I understand sometimes artists can have a similar sound, but one does it better than the other. But for me personally, the hype that Two Hollies is getting, I just would show to other artists in this lane. It's decent though. I like it. I think it's solid. It's enjoyable music. But yeah, I just don't know if there's anything great happening here. There's some potential with Two Hollies though, for sure. Next we got Amine with 13 Months of Sunshine. I'm liking that Amine just kind of went funky this time, you know? He just went all out with the funkiness. He collaborated with Kaytranada a couple of years ago on that album, and that seems to have rubbed off on him because a lot of these tracks have these really fun, rhythmic, tropical, like, you know, juice rhythms to them. It's really fun. It's not too serious. There are some of his best songs ever on here, I would say, actually. I think some of the tracks, such as particularly Arc de Triomphe, I think is one of his best ever songs. I think that sample as well from The Streets is a crazy pull. Don't know how he came through with that and made it work. But yeah, that is a really strange pull to hear in a US hip-hop infused track. Because The Streets are obviously very much like embedded in UK hip hop culture. Yeah, that's a wild sample to be pulling from. But yeah, great track. Some really awful lyrics. I have to say that word. I don't want to say that word, but some of the tracks like Sage Time, I think it is, and Raspberry Kisses are just written so badly. Like Amine has a bit more taste than to be writing these kinds of lyrics. I heard him on Jailbreak the Tesla. This guy has something to his writing style, and those tracks ain't it. But yeah, this, as of recording this album has quite literally just come out. It's the newest release of this cycle of albums that I'm going to be talking about here. It has literally just come out. So yeah, it is a little kind of undercooked for me personally listening to it, but I think, you know, based off of first impressions, yeah, I think it's very good. I would have liked to have seen it in Excellent though. I would like to have seen it up in Excellent because of my hype for it based on like Vacay, Familiar, like all the singles were so fun. I was just like, finally we're just going to get a really summery, carefree, easy breezy album. Maybe with more listens it'll land up here and I will do a proper review for it, but for now I think Very Good is fair. And Amine is kind of just, yeah, hitting a nice little new groove and it works for him. Speaking of not nice new grooves, and what the hell, man? What happened to Arcade Fire? What the hell happened to Arcade Fire? This run of albums they're on is awful. Like, everything now was like, oh, wow. Like, things have gotten really bad. That was such a surprisingly low point for a band that had been pretty good up until that point. I will say, like, you know, Funeral is good. The Suburbs good. Like, they are good. But I don't know if they're that great of a band. Like, I don't know if I think they're that great. But they were good. They were definitely making good albums. Everything Now hit, and everyone was just like, what has happened here? It was just a surprising low point for a band that was consistent. Then they hit us with We, which wasn't as bad, but was again just like, where have they gone? What happened to this band? And now this album, I mean, no, just can't latch on to anything. No interesting ideas going on at all. The songs just feel substanceless. That last track is just trying to do something and progress with its instrumental, and it just doesn't. I just do not know what happened to Arcade Fire, man. Even their album art has like gone down the toilet as well. Like, what is this? This horrible pink with this candle that, like, nah, it's just. Anyway, that's not even about the music. Look, what happened? I don't know. Black Country New Road with Forever How Long. This album should appeal to me. I talked about this in a full review, so if you want to see more full fleshed out thoughts, because on these tier lists I am a bit more kind of like, what's the word? I'm a bit more brief, I guess. But, you know, people tend to like that for this style of content. But I do go into much more detail in my full reviews, and there is a Black Country New Road review out there that you should watch to see more of that detail, because to summarize, I really liked Live at Bush Hall, and everybody who was worried about Isaac leaving, that worry had gone with me with that release. It was completely new, fresh songs. It was in a live setting. It sounded beautiful. The chamber pop instrumentation was stunning. The vocals were glorious. There was some like Regina Spektor-isms across the whole thing. Such a clear, obvious reference point for the band from that album that we hadn't heard up until that point. Obviously, with Isaac as a singer, their style was so different. And I'm a massive Regina Spektor fan, of course. You guys probably know that. And yeah, like all of that was just there. But with Black Country New Road's latest album, they tried doing that again, and somehow it just didn't land. And I just don't know. I can't explain why it doesn't work, but it just didn't work. It's obviously not bad, though. I'm just teasing you a little bit there with that one. I would say still meh, though. It's not that good to me. I still can't really get with the songs. I feel like the progressions weren't interesting either. It felt very stale. Even instrumentally, since their first album, it feels like they're still repeating ideas. Vocally, it's obviously different. Lyrically, it's obviously different. But yeah, something's just not clicking, man. And it feels like they're running out of... This is a really terrible, unintentional pun, but they're running out of road. They're running out a new road. Black Country, Old Road. I just feel like we keep hearing these types of instrumentals now, and I'm just getting bored. I've seen some interesting takes about the new Bon Iver, all takes that I disagree with quite heavily, actually, because I feel like when Bon Iver in the past few years have tried to go in this more electronic, elusive, mysterious, experimental, abstract sound, I've genuinely thought it sounded really not good. Maybe it's something I need to go back to and refresh my memory with, and perhaps with time it could be something that does, you know, have potential to maybe grow on me or whatever. But I just couldn't get with any of that. But their newest album was quite lovely, actually. I'll put it in very good. I liked it. I thought it was good. There wasn't like a great deal to really speak about with this album, saying that, but yeah, I liked it. I thought there were some really nice vocals across the thing. I thought instrumentally it was quite bare, but worked. Yeah, something clicked here. I think it's one of their better albums. I'm very clearly in the minority there, so I get that somebody's going to go, well, no, this isn't their best. It might be up there with their worst. And yeah, that's the thing, man. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. I don't know. The cookie crumbles, I don't know. Car Seat Headrest, kind of another band for me that's like, they're just reaching a point now where I just feel like I've heard this all before. And I guess if you really love the band, you're going to be somebody that's okay with that. But even some of my favorite artists of all time, like when it feels like they're repeating themselves, I'm okay to say I just don't think it's as good as it used to be. And sometimes we just have to say that with our favorites. Like, let's be honest, man. Is this really touching their other stuff? No. Those 11-minute tracks are dire. Keep them away from me. But yeah, it's still not bad, though. I'd put it in meh. Just feels like, I'm not really getting a great deal out of what they're doing now. All right, a couple of albums that are going to be highlights, though. I'm going to give you some good news because the new Clipping album is fantastic. Again, another review I have done a full video on, more detailed thoughts there. So click that if you check it out on the channel. Just search it up because this seems to have gone under the radar. I know Fantano, obviously a respectable critic, gave it a 6, and sometimes those kinds of scores can really deflate the potential hype an album can get. Because you guys pretend like Fantano you're too cool for, but you do live and die by his sword. And if that had gotten an 8 out of 10 from him with the yellow flannel, I'd definitely see more people talking about it. Regardless if you came out of the album liking it or not, it just would have gotten a bit more buzz around it and there would have been more conversations around it. But regardless of all that, I thought it was fantastic. I really love the cyberpunk energy. I love the lyrics and the concepts. David is still, to me, one of the best rappers of our time. I feel like that isn't said enough. I feel like a lot of Clipping fans do rave about him and talk about him as this excellent rapper. But like actually, when you listen to the things he comes through with, the way he flows, his technical ability, the rhyming, everything's just elite, man, to me. I think it's just crazy, some of the stuff he comes out with. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. It might not be touching their last album for me, Visions of Bodies Being Burned. I think that's probably still better, but this is still fantastic, man. And then this one here, Daniel Kleederman. This is not going to get any buzz at all, but this guy DM'd me actually, and he works with Barty Strange, who is an artist I really like. Gave them a rave review earlier in the year, and was just like, I think you might like my music because I've seen you review Barty Strange and you gave that a high praise. I just want you to check this album out. And good God, the guy was right. This is some really cool artsy pop rock music with some really cool fleshed out instrumentals. Some of the things I was saying before about like the Car Seat Headrest, Arcade Fire, Black Country New Road. Sometimes you just got to dig deep, man, because there are some instrumentals on this album that really do click and hit. And they are kind of progressive and they're pushing the sound in a unique way. Yeah, it's a really good album. Some super strong tracks on it. It's not quite fully rocky rock, but there's some pop in there as well. I thought it was really bloody good. I enjoyed this album a lot. Absolutely one of the most obscure albums I think I'm going to praise this year, though, because the guy has like 1,000 Instagram followers, and I couldn't even find this on Rate Your Music. So yeah, absolutely massively impressed there. But truly great. Daniel Kleederman. I might have to put the text on the screen for you to see what his name is and the album's called, because again, you're going to struggle to find this searching it up, but I implore you, it is bloody damn good. Yeah, I don't really know what the general reception of this Eric Church album is, because I'm not really a big fan of Eric Church, but I thought it was really good. Some really great tracks on it. Some of the vocal work he does is just so like soft rock, like from like the 80s, that kind of has a cheesy lameness to it, but I kind of was on board with it, honestly. Like, it's obviously still that country sound, but yeah, I came out of it enjoying it quite a bit. I don't know if I'm supposed to like this album, because I feel like country connoisseurs weren't massively hyping it up. But yeah, I can only speak for my own taste. I liked it. Erika de Cassier. Let's talk about her for a second. She is an artist I want to love. I'm telling you right now, man. I go into all of her albums, seeing the genre tags, feeling like I'm going to come out of it loving it. And it just doesn't click. I can't explain it, but it's just so boring to me. I hate to use that word, because it's a bit, derivative. It's reductive. It doesn't really give you a lot to kind of like understand. But I can't use another word here. I just find it so boring. It just doesn't work for me. Some of the more trip hop elements that she was throwing in were really like, oh, interesting. And yet it was super washed out. I don't find her vocals to be particularly pretty or, endearing or nice enough to really enjoy. I just find it so dull. I can't explain it. I know a lot of people will be mad because this got quite a rave response when it came out. But yeah, I'm just not seeing it, man. Especially when you compare it to other albums in this style. Other artists start doing a similar thing. Erika de Cassier is just not like working for me at all. I'll put it here though. I think it's still meh. It's not bad, but yeah. Ghost Mountain, I'm just kind of skim over this because I feel weird for liking it because this kind of stuff doesn't really work for me usually. You know, I like cemetery type stuff and all that kind of like cloud rap style. Actually, no, that's not to dismiss the genre. Actually, I do like quite a bit of that, but this just didn't really seem to like hit in a way that other albums do sometimes, where I find it to be really tedious. I thought the last track was really good too. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. All right, Hannah Cohen. I'm just going to again kind of rave about this one a little bit here because I thought this was a really lovely album that had kind of like Fleetwood Mac vibes. A few people pointed out the Stevie Nicks comparisons with her vocals. I do kind of get that actually. Definitely am hearing a bit of that. But that folkiness, that sunniness to the instrumentals and the beauty in her voice, yeah, it really worked for me, this man. Hannah Cohen has got one of my favorite albums of the year so far. And yeah, another one that's gone a bit under the radar. It did get a little bit more buzz than perhaps like, you know, the Daniel Kleedeman album, which got nothing. But yeah, I think people that enjoy that style, like that folky kind of dreamy pop sound, it's kind of like a combination of those two things. And I thought she did it really well. I enjoyed this album a lot. Jane Remover, some albums, man. This period of music is just an absolute minefield for me because so many of these albums got a lot of buzz, and I'm going to be risking my reputation by telling you guys I just didn't like the new Jane Remover. Again, though, I'm going to at least put it at the top of the meh because I think it was better than these releases, but still didn't like it. And I've got to say, there's some discourse about Jane Remover's accent. And I kind of get it, man. Like some of the ways she was pronouncing words and the style she was flowing, to me, it was kind of bordering a little bit. Like I'm not being funny, man. I only ever say how I feel and what I think, and I would never, you know, over exaggerate my opinions ever for the sake of clicks or anything like that. But her accent at times was kind of pushing it for me. I was like, I don't know, man. This is sounding like, you know, a bit odd. But even still, besides that, which was a bit off-putting, particularly on tracks like JR, 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 which to me, I feel like people who love Jane Remover will think it's cool and will think it's got a lot of swag. But I think it sounds really lame. Like I don't know, man. Two different strokes for different folks, I guess. One person can think it sounds cool, another can think it's lame. I am definitely on the lame side. I thought some of the kind of rapping stuff was super lame. I thought some of the instrumentation, which is quite a common thing with like the rating music crowd, and I don't like to brand like an entire group of people as like sheep or whatever, or just say, you know, everybody who uses that site has the same opinion. I tend to avoid that kind of thing actually, but in this context with the rating music thing, like anything that sounds a bit weird or a little bit experimental just seems to get this huge rave response. And I think honestly it was a detriment to the album at times. I think some of the instrumentation was way overboard. It was doing way too much, and I think pulling it back and maybe focusing on the song structures a little bit more would have done this album a lot of good. I just did not feel a lot of these tracks. It went, and I like, you know, I like noisy, I like experimental music, I like music that pushes boundaries. I really do. But this album, I thought at times was just taking it a little too far and just wasn't really focused and coming through with good song styles for me. So yeah, that's just how I felt. Yeah, I don't know. I also think we need to do a little bit of revisionism for Breakance because again, some of that kind of like cool rapping thing that Jane Remover is doing a little bit on this album, like Breakance was doing that on Hypochondriac and nobody raved about that album. So let's go back to that one and maybe start giving that album the respect it deserves. I'm not saying the album sounds like this. I'm just saying I think some of the Quadeca and Jane Remover isms that come through in the vocals, I think they're pulling heavily from Breakance. And Breakance got nothing in 2022, man. And I said at the time it felt like it could be the sound of the future. And I don't know, that might have aged quite well. Because like I say, Quadeca particularly, who gets a lot of rave reviews, I think is pulling a lot from Breakance. And yeah, J Remover a little bit on this album. I felt that too. 2 Hollies as well, by the way. Just saying. All right, we got Kali Uchis. Oh, it's a minefield, this one, man. I'm so sorry. But this is definitely one of Kali's worst albums. Now, Kali being at her worst is still good. Do not be mistaken. Kali at her worst is still good. But no, man. The derivative sound of this album just felt like, every track was hitting the same note. And this is the thing. She's doing it well. It sounds nice and it's lovely. But for like 50 odd minutes, it just started to feel a little, like I say, derivative. It felt like it was kind of hitting the same notes the whole way through. I like it a little bit more for Kali when she combines sounds and she expresses her voice more. And she goes for these more colourful instrumentals and delves into maybe some pop, maybe some R&B, maybe some of the Latin stuff. And she combines all those sounds and you get Isolation, which is like quite easily her best album and still a great album too. And you also get Orchideus, which came out last year. I think this sound for her, I don't think you need it for an entire album. But again, people did seem to rave about this one upon release. So I feel like, am I just going crazy? I don't know. It just didn't wow me like that. Yeah, that's just how I felt. All right, Key Glock. You know what, man? I gave Son of a Gun a really high rating when it came out, and it was on my year-end list. I talked about Yellow Tape as well and liked that one a lot. And it seems like people weren't really talking about Key Glock back then, but it's nice to see a bit more conversation around him. But unfortunately, those albums have suffered a little bit for me now because it's like, okay, you were good then, but you're kind of doing the same thing a lot now. And yeah, this kind of lands in the good for me. I really like those other two, though, that I mentioned there from 2020. I think they are 2020, maybe 2021. I did review them back in the day. I thought they were really good. But for now, Key Glock, I think, needs to maybe switch it up a little bit. We're getting a little bit in the DaBaby territory where it's like, okay, you're doing kind of the same thing on each album. He's not as bad as DaBaby, but I'm just saying that kind of rapping style. I feel like DaBaby should now be a verb. Where it's like you're debating your music, where you're actually just repeating your same flows, same beats, that kind of thing. I might just have to coin that, really, if it hasn't already been coined. Mae Simone's also gave this a really positive review. Yeah, I think it's up there with Clipping as being one of the better albums this year. I've loved it. Just such a lovely album, man. Some really, lovely instrumentals with some great vocals. She has a lot of character to her voice. The flavor to the instrumentation, it's sweet, it's so good, it's so enjoyable. I feel like this could be an album somebody could hear and think, yeah, it's cool, I've heard it done before. And yeah, I guess you probably have, in fairness. I have too. But she just has a way, there's a charm, there's a lovable aspect to it that I just really like. I Can Do What I Want, great track as well. Kind of goes into more like the rocky instrumentation as well. Some of the tracks really go fleshed out, and they work really well. Actually, the album's better for it. Yeah, really love that album. Men I Trust, the only album this year or in the last few months that's rivaling Arcade Fire. Really, just so boring, man. Just absolutely dead, monotonous. They did drop another album recently. I haven't heard that one. I'm only talking about the one that came out around March-ish time. Yeah, killed my whole vibe, man. It dropped around near my birthday, and I was having a great day because I was having a party. For some reason, checked this out right before the party. I was excited, and my hype was dead, man. Oh, God damn, Men I Trust. Ruining birthdays. That's the worst thing you can do. The worst. Natalia Lafourcade. So let's talk about Natalia Lafourcade, because she is honestly one of my favorite artists ever. I love Natalia. I gave her Album of the Year in 2020. She was high up on the year-end list for 2020. I want to say 3. De Todas las Flores. What year was that? Was that 2023? Maybe 22. Whatever year that was a great album too. Loved it. Love her 2010s work, Hasta la Raíz. The two, the Volume 1, Volume 2 that she dropped towards the end of the 2010s. Even her early work, Who, whatever that one's called, 2009, underrated. She is one of my favorites to ever do it, man. Love her. But it sometimes comes a point, which I've said maybe about some of these other artists, where it's like you're kind of doing the same thing again. And for me, this album doesn't have the awe, the mystique of De Todas las Flores. And then it also doesn't have the charm, the beauty, the joyousness of the Hasta la Raíz, or again, like the 2020 Un Canto por Mexicana. Yeah, that one. I'm not going to try and speak the language for you. You know the albums I'm talking about. Like, it falls into the middle of both of those. It doesn't have either. It doesn't have that, ooh, whoa, of De Todas las Flores, but it doesn't have that enjoyment of her more joyous work. It just falls into the middle of that. But she's that good that she can kind of still get away with it. It's still a good album. But compared to her like best, it just kind of feels like we're getting a very similar sound from her, and it doesn't really add a huge amount to what we've already got. Similarly, I would say to the Ichikayo Ayoba album earlier this year, everything I've said there is like almost identical. It kind of feels like that to me. And sometimes the best artists just drop a solid album from time to time, but they'll bounce back and then you'll realize, that solid one, yeah, it wasn't that great. But they'll come back and remind you that they are killer. And I think Natalia is the kind of artist to do that. This one was okay, but her next one could probably be an album of the year contender. She's just one of those artists. And sometimes we need to do that. We need to not go overboard with our hype for artists just because we like them a lot. They do drop albums that are just okay. They're not highlights in their discography. It doesn't make them not great. It's just sometimes not every album hits that level. And I think this is just one of those examples. Perfume Genius, really liked this one. I thought it had such a cool style to it. It wasn't a major highlight, I wouldn't say, in his discography. But again, maybe similar to what I'm saying with Natalia here, like him dropping something that's not a major highlight isn't really an insult because like he's just so good. And that first track genuinely might be a top 10 Perfume Genius song ever. I've already done a top 10 for his songs. You should check that video out. I think I did it last year, actually, about a year ago. I think it was about May time or something, perhaps-ish, maybe a bit later. And yeah, it's a mirror. Honestly, yeah, that could crack that top 10. What a song. All right, Pink Panther Res. Again, yeah, another very good one. At least we're getting some very goods chalked off here because, yeah, I liked this one a lot. Like I said in the review, another review you can go check out if you want to see more thoughts. It kind of falls in the middle of the first mixtape and Heaven Knows. Heaven Knows being fantastic. The first mixtape being a solid introduction to what she can do, but it didn't really flesh out her sound. Heaven Knows fleshed out her sound massively and showed what she can do with like 4-minute songs with Capable of Love, which seems crazy to say about Pink Panther because most of the songs are super short. But it just fleshed out the style a little bit more. It gave us a lot more to chew on, I think, and the songs were super catchy, super sweet. And then this mixtape falls kind of in the middle of those. It's kind of going back to a little bit the first mixtape, but it's still got the substance and the style and the uniqueness that makes her such a good pop star for me. That Heaven Knows showed that she has. And some of the sample choices are crazy. Underworld, Basement Jaxx, Just Jack as well. Crazy samples that are kind of punching even further into that nostalgia for the 2000s. And yeah, she's just kind of nailing that and hammering that down even more and doing it really well. I am music. I am tedious. I am boring, I'm long, I am just not doing what I used to do very well, is what we should name that album. Playboi Carti was never living up to the hype. I said it a long time ago, the hype that he built around this album was ridiculous. I know he's lived up for the hype for a lot of his core fans. I know a lot of his kind of like hardcore, diehard stans will never say a bad word about him, but I really like his music, and I'm more than happy to say a bad word about this because it just sounded like slop. It sounded like Playboi Carti just played to all the kind of stereotypes to all of his songs. It's like this is like what somebody who hates Carti thinks Carti sounds like. There's no substance, there's nothing to it. There was no like atmosphere that his other stuff has. It just sounded a mess to me. way too long. The features are boring. I'll say it. Well, I'll say it over and over again. But like, can we just start doing rap songs with different features? Yes, Kendrick is on here, which was a surprise, and he pops up a few times. Honestly, I didn't actually mind those Kendrick tracks. I thought it was a bit weird that Kendrick would collaborate with Carti, which I tweeted about, and said that it was a bit strange given what he said about Drake, because everything he said about Drake applies to Carti, deadbeat, womanizer, all that kind of stuff, yada, yada, yada. Of course, that was a bit strange, but the songs themselves I thought were actually pretty cool. Kendrick kind of worked his way into those songs in a way that I didn't expect him being able to do. But yeah, that's all she wrote for me. I couldn't pick out anything. Every song just sounded the same. It all just made me feel like my brain was rotting. It felt like he was collapsing into the stuff like Netspend has been doing. And it's like Carti has birthed those artists. He shouldn't be sounding as bad as Ken Carson. Like, he shouldn't be, but he does, really. And I don't hate Ken Carson, by the way, but the new Ken Carson album was pretty bad too. I probably should have put it on here, but yeah. Nah, don't know, man. Just not feeling it. Viagra Boys, kind of repeating myself here, but another band for me that I've just repeated their sound, and it's gotten just really boring at this point. I thought Cave World was so creative, so clever, so well written, but all of those things just don't exist on this album. The satire that they're trying to aim for is also feeling a bit of a parody now. Like, the statements they come out with within their songs just sound stupid. Like, and I don't know, man. I know that's kind of part of what they're trying to do, but it's just like not even funny now. It's not clever. The songs are really boring. Just a really bland sounding post-punk album that, for me, just didn't add to the genre in any way. Pulsi Perla, I want to rave about this one. Absolutely love this. Thought it was bloody brilliant. A collaboration album between Pulcinella and La Perla. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about those two artists, but they came through with this really cool Tropicana, like Latin sound. This really, really fun, creative, summery sounding album that I just, kind of really made for me. I love this style of music coming through in this kind of way. Love this Latin jazz kind of sound. The vocals are really commanding, and love it. Absolutely love it. So it's a great album. I've repeated myself a lot here, but another band for me that are solid, but I don't really feel like I get anything new from them whenever I hear them. I'll put it a little bit higher though. Like, when they came through with their first couple of albums, they felt really exciting. They feel like a really fun pop punk band. But now they're just like solid and just kind of repeating themselves. It's still good though. Like, it's still enjoyable pop punk music for what it is. And they're still, like, compared to a lot of their peers and a lot of modern pop punk, like, I'll take them easily. But they're not hitting the heights of like a Jeff Rosenstock, a Wonder Years, or a Spanish Love Songs. They're just kind of like solid. They're good for what they are, but I don't know, man. Like, if you went to see them live, like, I'd honestly be like, what album's that one from? What album's that one from? I just feel like I can't pick out a lot of their songs anymore now. But it's good when it's on, This is a bit of a surprise because I love Saba and I've raved about Saba before, but holy moly, this new album with ID, which should have been brilliant, is like really average. I'll put it higher up though. I think it's definitely one of the highest of the Mez. But that doesn't really matter a great deal because I still am here telling you that it's pretty meh. I don't know, man. The bars just weren't really there for me. The beats really sounded quite generic. I hate using that word, but they did. I didn't really feel like I was getting anything I haven't heard before. Yeah, again, for me, like what I said about Carti, where it's like, if you didn't like Care For Me, which I think is great. I really like Care For Me. I think it's a great album. But you hear this album, like, it's almost like you can kind of go, yeah, this is what people that didn't like Saba before thinks he sounded like. So it just doesn't have those highlights. It just doesn't have those great lyrical moments that stand out. It just doesn't really do a lot of that. I just found it to be pretty bland, honestly. It's a shame because, again, it feels like we're hitting another year. And last year was really carried by the beef. It really was. But it feels again to me we're hitting another year where hip-hop is just not doing it, man. We've got clipping, but they're not well known. They're pretty low key. They're pretty small. They're not massively famous. Like, I just, yeah, again, feels another year. We've really gone over the hill for hip hop for me at the moment. Like 2010s really was up there, but we're kind of going a bit down. It's just not hitting that spot anymore. A lot of these albums just aren't coming through for me. Samia, I thought it was lovely. Really wasn't a big fan of Samia before this album, but this one has made me a fan. Thought it was a really nicely put together album. I want to mention Skrillex, who for me didn't do it for me on this album. Thought a lot of like the kind of vocal samples sounded really cringe. A lot of the instrumentals to me didn't work. Again, another album I saw a lot of rave about, but I like Skrillex. I gave Skrillex a really positive review in 2023, was it? Was Quest for Fire, was that one called? Yeah, that one. You know, the album. It felt like Skrillex was really back and putting out some really great music, but this one for me, I just couldn't get with it. Let's leave Sleep Token a little bit. I want to mention Spelling, who I really liked. Really cool how we got a bit more of a rockier sound on this album, and it didn't really sacrifice any of the great things that make Spelling and great. Yeah, I think some people were very much like, no, this is nowhere near as good as The Turning Wheel. I didn't think it was actually too far behind. I thought they were relatively similar. They're just doing different things. Yeah, I liked it though. Japanese Breakfast, man. Another example here in the Mare where it's just like an artist I like, but something just didn't work here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll switch some of these around actually. But yeah, just a really bland, sterile sounding album. The instrumentation was really not sweet or enamoring in any particular way. The vocals just didn't do it for me either. The songs just lacked any kind of identity. It was really weird listening to this album, given the fact that Jubilee, all the songs were popping. The production was fantastic. Vocals were glorious. Like everything about that album just worked so well. And this album was mediocre. For me, I'm afraid. And we're going to finish on Sleep Token, who have caught a lot of discourse in recent times. Because are they metal? Are they not metal? Are they making fake metal? All this stuff. And I gotta say, I loved it. No, I'm joking. No, I don't like Sleep Token. I am not really here for what they're trying to do. I think I'm always happy to see a band, or any artist actually, any whatever, just kind of blend styles together, try something new. But good God, how did we get here? What is this? I'm in awe of it. I honestly could understand why somebody would think this was bad or even below that. Honestly, I get it. I do. I didn't hate it because I was just so perplexed and in awe of what I was hearing. Past Life is like a SoundCloud rap song. Like genuinely. What are they doing? I'm just in awe when I listen to it. And then out of freaking nowhere, you get these like, what are they doing? I just am so bamboozled and baffled by what they tried to do that I'm sort of like listening to it and somehow not hating it because I'm just like figuring it all out. It's really odd. Some of the lyrics on Provider and Caramel are shockingly bad, I will say that. And honestly, on any given day, if you catch me in the wrong mood, this probably is really bad, to be honest with you. But yeah, I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't like it, but I didn't come out of it hating it, and that's surprising to me. I really thought I'd hate this based on the things people were saying. But yeah, this is a strange album. A very perplexing band at the moment who are super popular. They debuted in the top 10 in the UK. Like crazy. That is a huge thing to be able to do for a band nowadays, considering everything in the charts has no like rock or anything close to metal, if you can even call these guys metal, which I'm not even sure you can, but like they're clearly at times trying to be like heavy with those chugging, like gent type sounding riffs. That hitting the top 10 is wild. I don't think it stuck around in the charts. I think it fell out pretty quickly. But yeah, they are very popular. And it's surprising, it's strange, it's confusing. But yeah, somebody who loves them, I'd love to see them explain this. I'd love to see somebody explain what you love about this, because to me, it's just too like unorganized and strange and trying to be something it's like not as well. Yeah, don't know. And we made it to the end. That is it from me. Another tier list of albums in the year 2025, and we'll be doing more of these as the year goes on. Don't you worry, there'll be more albums included as well in the next one. Let me know if I missed off any that I should have included. There probably is some that I've been like, oh my god, how did I not mention that? I can be silly sometimes. And yeah, you'll probably notice not an album of the year contender yet. I didn't have one in the first one, and there isn't one now. There usually is at least one by this point of the year. I will say that. It's not been a particularly great year for music, in my opinion. I think it's been a good year. I think every year is good. I think there's been lots of great albums, obviously, but it feels a little quieter for the year so far. Usually my favourite album of the year does come later on, so I'm not worried yet. A lot of my favourite albums of the year do come in the latter half of the year. So I don't want to alarm anybody or try and act like this year hasn't been good or anything like that. It just doesn't feel like it's been as strong. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments though. If you agree, disagree, please follow for more, subscribe for more, all that kind of good stuff. Have a good day. Do the tier list as well. Click the link in the description to make your own. Send it me on Instagram, Threads, wherever you follow me, Blue Sky, whatever. Anywhere you can send it. Have a good day and goodbye.